All right, when we hit the record button, that means we're probably going to start. So, and it looks like we've got some more folks that just joining us. So I'm going to give you a big old formal hello and welcome to our first monthly program center stage, featuring impactful cooperative extension-led programs at the local, regional, and national levels. I'm Molly Immendorf, the design strategist and leader of the Impact Collaborative with the Extension Foundation. I'm pleased to introduce today's program leader, Dr. Crystal Allen, and the Southern University Agriculture team, including Dr. Marlon Ford, Ms. Angele Jordan, and Ms. Kiana Kelly. So take it away, Team Agriculture.
Okay, thank you so much, Molly, and everybody who's come here to join us. I promise to give you the presentation of the love of a lifetime. Or so I think I will, okay? Just give me my moment. Let's see, I need to go to, I just had it. Y'all see everything? No? We're gonna go home.
We are seeing the slides on the left-hand side, so it looks like we're seeing the presenter view.
You don't see the large screen?
Not alone.
Okay. Let's see.
And I can vouch it was working.
Of course, it's because I'm sharing my screen and then it's doing something. That's okay. That's why I'm happy. It's only like, it's more intimate. It's a very intimate thing. So you guys can give me a second as I get my life together. That's the great thing about intimate presentations. Like a family. Who gets embarrassed in front of their family? Not me.
There you go. Oh, perfect.
Got it. So here we are. I'm ready. So this is Team Agriculture. If you've been around or just seen anything with emergency preparedness, I hope we are one of the first extension programs that come to mind. As we aim to have a community impact, we also aim to lift and bring other extension programs and universities along with us. We document our journeys, the successes, the failures, those lessons learned. So hopefully people are looking at our things and saying, hey, man, that didn't work for them. And we have it all detailed. They're going to talk about it a little bit more in our field book. So without further ado, Molly already introduced us, but it was part of my presentation. And this is just an all-star team. I tell them every time, and they can vouch, I love working with these three people. Phenomenal. So of course, myself, Dr. Ford, if you look to the chat area, you'll see that Dr. Ford has a similar background to us, but he gave himself a Bitmoji and he did not do that for us. So that's Dr. Ford in a nutshell. We have Ms. Angele Jordan and Kiana Kelly as well. We all have the same background. Dr. Ford has the Bitmoji that I would like. Thank you. So you say, where did we start? What was the thing we were looking to change? As we thought about our program, you guys, we went to Impact Collaborative in April 2019 with just an idea. And this idea is we need to create an emergency preparedness program at Southern. What did it look like? We had no idea. Who did it target? We had no idea. The background work, we did not know. And literally in those few short days, this is what we came up with. And our tagline back then was evacuation is a luxury. And that's still true today. Even while our focus has added innovation and we've added capacity to the program far beyond where we started, we still recognize evacuation is a luxury. The change that we sought to change, or whatever the situation, shall I say, that we wanted to address, less than half of the citizens of Louisiana practice preparedness. And unfortunately, emergency preparedness, and I say unfortunately, but it's a conundrum. Unfortunately, emergency preparedness is the most effective way to speed up your response and your recovery times, right? So if you're prepared, you're better off when it comes to response after an emergency or disaster, and you're better positioned to recover from those things. That's the unfortunate part. The unfortunate part is not enough people practice preparedness. The fortunate part is we know that preparedness helps with response and recovery. So we know this is the situation we have to address. We also know that a lot of the communities and areas that we service tend to be low resource, and they look at it as, if I only have so much money, should I put it towards an emergency or should I put it towards a current need? A future is kind of their weighing, and we get this from our advisory committees, we get this from feedback from programming. It's just the thought process of, do I take this money that I have and use it on something that I need in the now, or do I put it towards something in the future? We know emergencies are going to happen. We know disasters are going to happen, but we don't know when, and we don't know how much will be impacted. And another thing that I had no idea of back in 2019 that we learned along the way, sometimes when individuals receive government subsidies and assistance, they can't have over a certain amount in their savings account or in an account towards preparedness efforts. It would kind of make them ineligible for their benefits. So it's like, am I risking my benefits or do I want to do preparedness? These are the things we have to think of. So anyway, rewind back to April 2019 under Tyra. Tyra, I see you joined us today. I'm so happy that you prioritized being here with us. We were able to come up with the following pitch. This was our pitch. Let's make sure I have my volume. Okie dokie, thank you. We are Team Agriculture, Southern University, Crystal, Joshua, Marlon, Nicolette, and Angel. Louisiana, laissez le bon temps rouler. So the program that we developed is an emergency preparedness program. Emergencies affect everyone. Just by a show of hands in the room, has anybody ever experienced a disaster or an unplanned emergency? Exactly, everyone, that's our need. We all have experienced them, you can't run from them. However, the framework guiding our program development is evacuation is a luxury. And it really is. Think about it. I want you to keep that in your mind as we discuss our program. So what is it? Our emergency preparedness program is responsive to Louisiana's diverse communities. We plan to implement it in phases. What does that mean? Louisiana, we have rural populations. We have urban populations. So we know that a plan cannot be a cookie cutter instrument just for everybody. We have to make it responsive to those communities. Leveraging existing resources from existing partnerships as well as new partnerships, coalitions in the community as well as advisory boards. We know that our rural populations, you may need to know, hey, are my crops and my livestock, are they tagged? Are they insured? Am I recognized as a farmer with the federal government because I have to be able to receive those resources? But also our urban populations. Do I have a survival kit? Is there enough food and water ration for each member of my household? Is there a transportation plan in place? So why are we doing this? Death, dollars, and disease. We all saw Hurricane Katrina play out over in front of our faces in the national media. We see what happens when you're reactive. We want to have a proactive stance with our program. Utilizing pre-existing partnerships, we want to take a collaborative cohort of people, go through training, make sure we're emergency preparedness ready, and also we're going to do joint trainings, workshops, and seminars within these communities. As I previously mentioned, we want to make sure we're using those advisory boards. We want to make sure we're using the coalitions within the communities to where the plan is actually responsive to their area. Lastly, we also have an Office of Planning and Research built into the Southern University Ag Center, and that is how we plan to track and manage our outcomes and impacts. Long-term qualitative and quantitative measures to make sure we're actually getting the data that we want to have, but we're impacting those communities. The plan will be, the program will be implemented using, thinking of vulnerable and underrepresented communities and where they are on the spectrum, starting with our most vulnerable populations. So we know that it's a need, we have it, let's go forth, let's do our part. Thank you.
Ending right on time. Crystal, there you go.
I heard that I ended right on time. But more so from that presentation, as you listen and you think back to 2019, y'all, the idea was so huge. It sounded good. It sounded great. We know that, and we still believe that these programs cannot be cookie cutter. We know they have to be adaptable to different communities. We know in Louisiana, a 45-minute drive, and Molly, you probably know this now too, a 45-minute drive could take you from New Orleans to the middle of a cornfield. And these are just two totally different urban and rural kind of settings. So you can't have one plan in place. And we learned that through that one. And we also understood, hey, we have to make sure we're having a program that's designed for these communities. But it was here, and it was just at the macro level. It was so big, it was so many ideas going on, but that's kind of what the innovation and the thought process is. You have to start big, you're brainstorming, you're thinking of things. This is a couple of days in, but we knew we had to funnel our ideas a little bit further, add some innovation, and really identify where do we go from here. And that was April of 2019. We came back and we reported back to our administration at the Ag Center. They loved the work we did. And they sent us back to Impact Collaborative in October 2019. I'm a strong supporter of Impact Collaborative. I would probably go back again. And we've been through so many cycles of Extension Foundation, but literally it's one of those things, you know, you watch a movie and you think you understand, and then you watch it again and you always catch something new. That was the process for us. So we knew at that point, okay, we have something here. It's a definite need, but we just need to go a little bit further. So between April and October, we really worked in our department, and we were ready to go back to October's Impact Collaborative to add some innovation. And we did just that. I'm gonna play our next pitch for you guys. So great that you guys highlight everything Extension Foundation.
Good afternoon. We are Southern Jagriculture from the Southern University Agricultural Research and Extension Center in the state of Louisiana. By a great show of hands, how many of you guys have been impacted by a man-made or a natural disaster? Exactly. We've taken the task of developing an innovative emergency preparedness initiative titled the Who Dat Plan. Disasters are inevitable, and the lasting effects on vulnerable populations can be long-term and crippling. Evacuation, also for some citizens of Louisiana, is a luxury. Therefore, not having a plan in place is the difference between life and death. Through a small pilot, we've been able to uncover a few things. We've developed the core components and activities for full-scale implementation and evidence-based goals to capture the long-term impacts of this initiative. Our goals are to protect and mitigate the loss of human life, livestock, and crops, while also reducing recovery time and costs. Our Who Dat Plan equips the citizens of Louisiana with the knowledge, skills, and abilities to prepare for disasters. And this includes K through 12 students, the general public, low resource farmers, first responders, and also the Southern University Agriculture and Research and Extension Center, who has become a second responder.
Our emergency preparedness initiative will consist of train the trainer for our extension agents and also some CEUs for our first responders. Now our Who Dat plan stands for, and everybody see it stands for, it is Disaster Adaptive Territories Plan. And also within our Who Dat plan, we're gonna also have our program called Pastures in Disasters, which is going to help our limited resource farmers.
Our intention
is to expand on our existing Southern University emergency preparedness curriculum. And we will also collaborate with existing and new organizations by communicating using web-based technology to meet the communities. And we're also going to be using our Southern University mobile unit, and we're going to give courses to first responders.
So on this page, So on this page, you're looking at the new faces of our second responders. This group that is comprised of extension agents and specialists have already completed a small pilot in Scotlandville community, which is one of our underserved communities and targeted demographics. Through the success of our small pilot, we are ready to successfully launch our new plan, which is the Who Dat plan. Who Dat! In our state's capital, and we're gonna visit 2 neighboring parishes. We will measure our impact by surveying actual participants and are relying on impact statements, in addition to using archival data to measure long-term. Through our strategic plan, we'll reach 50% of Louisiana by 2025. That's nearly 2.3 million Louisianans. What a great way to actually do that.
Do it!
Oh, didn't want to start that. Hold on, you guys. Pause. Okay, so we were still kind of macro at that point and had these great goals, which we're still working towards. But I can say a couple of things that really have sustained our program and help us push forward and get where we are today. Even as I look back at these videos, and it's so awesome to see that captured. Like, you don't typically record your thought process or your brainstorming process or how your program grows. We literally can go back to the time where we just thought of something and see it grow over the years. That is such a great resource to have. But even looking back now, we started our program planning and development, and more so design, already thinking about the impacts we would like to see. We thought about adaptability that we knew we needed to have in our communities. And we thought about how can we deliver on this? How can we reach more people within our state? How can we reach these different demographics? I know a lot of people are, when they think of impacts, they were only thinking numbers, but even from day one, it looks like our vision of impacts far outweighed just reaching bodies. We really wanted to see that change in attitude, change in behavior, change in emergency preparedness efforts. And so that's just amazing to see. And I'm excited that we have that resource. And so the second conference, the second Impact Collaborative I just played, that was October 2019. From that one, we were able to secure the Impact Collaborative Summit grant, which definitely gave us capacity to create a new program, Preparedness to Go. However, we all know what happened shortly after November 2019. It was the pandemic that sent us all home. While a lot of people may have stuttered, or they may have had a misstep or had to slow their programming down, we took the unique opportunity to move into a virtual format with almost no misstep. While we had to put our original programming on hold for COVID, we didn't miss a beat. We went into doing webinars, town halls, and our Facebook Live series, which when we were going over this, I actually said, I don't know if we should call our current conference series the 3rd annual, because we really started the Facebook Live series, but it wasn't a conference, so I'm gonna let that lay where it is. But we started and made sure we were using our avenues to still reach our communities, because at the time COVID was so new, we were like, what does preparedness look like with a pandemic? When we were thinking about shelters, we were thinking about evacuations. If you have to go to a shelter, and that was when everybody was afraid to be around everybody. We didn't know enough. There were no vaccines. It was just kind of protect yourself at all costs. What would we look like? We know we needed to definitely hit the ground running, join forces. So that allowed us to partner with the Extension Foundation on a few initiatives and webinars, as well as EDEN, the Extension Disaster Education Network. But that also allowed us to really cultivate a lot of these collaborations and more so relationships. We're at a point now where we can reach out to these individuals and tell them what we're thinking, get feedback, or see what our next steps would be. And in addition, you know, it really helped us to want to be trained as facilitators. I know 3 out of 4 of us are trained facilitators with the ISBE, and we go through the process and we help other extension professionals add that same level of capacity to their program. And so God forbid something else happens, it's no missteps. We can still make sure we're delivering and we're reaching our communities in a timely manner, and we're reaching them where they are. That's most important. I'm not going to play that one. That's a bit long. I was supposed to play it while I was reading that slide, but I forgot, but it was just going to play in the background. From that, I think Extension loved the work that we were doing. They saw the Facebook Lives. They saw, hey, these people are still moving and they're moving forward. We were like the little engine that could. I don't want to say the little engine that could. I'm going to say the locomotive that could. We transformed into a virtual programming design and delivery, and we applied for the New Technologies of Ag Extension Fellowship. And luckily we were selected for that program, and that just allowed us to add another level of capacity to our programming, which was still virtual at the time because we were working from home in the midst of COVID. So from that, another thing that makes us unique, and I mentioned it briefly in the beginning of my introduction, we always try to uplift other extension professionals who are doing this work. We know that even though our emergencies and our disasters may look different or will look different depending on our regions and our locations, we deal with a lot of hurricanes and flooding and things of that nature. Anybody else may be dealing with wildfires, tornadoes, different natural disasters or disaster learning, but we all know that extension is often called upon as second and sometimes third responders. We know first responders, that's your fire department, your police, they're saving lives actively. They're running into the midst of the danger, but when you build these relationships within your communities, they tend to call on you for assistance, right? That's what the extension has always been. We can probably go back to the Jessup wagon and everything, meeting people where they are and helping them with their needs. So we had the great pleasure of doing a podcast with Connect Extension on our journey and what we've learned and those lessons, but we also published an e-field book with the New Technologies of Ag Extension Fellowship, just talking about our process for creating a virtual conference. And that conference, Angela is going to go a little bit more into detail in how it was designed and those targeted populations, but we learned a lot through that process. And we were so excited to just make sure we put that into a publication where other professionals can lean on that and probably read it and say, okay, well, this didn't work. Oh, I like that idea. I didn't think about that one. So we don't mind serving as that guiding light, I guess you could say. You can look at us and our successes, but we also want you to look at our lessons and learn from them along with us. And with that being said, I'm going to turn the mic over to Mrs. Angel Jordan.
Disaster can strike at any moment. Let's face it, preparing for natural or man-made disasters is painstaking. Like writing your will or doing your taxes is one of the things you need to and should do, but it's not always on the top of our to-do list. Because of an unexpected and uninvited visitor named COVID-19, we were compelled to host a 3-day virtual conference. The inaugural Emergency Preparedness, Response, and Recovery Conference was held virtual June 2021 by the Southern University Agricultural Team.
The agricultural team intended to put together tools that would assist low-resourced communities, businesses, and cooperative extension partners in planning an efficient, effective, and resilient pre- and post-disaster recovery. Over the 3-day conference, we connected communities, extension professionals, and farmers with emergency management professionals and subject matter experts, offering insight, reflection, and understanding across a wide range of topics. Our virtual conference shared an impressive lineup of keynote speakers, presenters, panel discussions, breakout rooms, and question and answer sessions. By attending this 3-day conference, folks from all walks of life were better able to plan, prepare, and respond to emergencies and disasters. So, moving forward, we will turn from virtual to and in person to continue to assist our communities. One thing that virtual learning has taught us is that being able to work independently is an important skill. Now that we're moving back to in person, we want our participants to collaborate and actively be involved with the networking process. We have also created a few informational fact sheets titled Important Emergency Preparedness Terms. For example, the difference between a warning, which means a threat is posing, and a watch, which means be on alert. Developing an emergency plan is another fact sheet that we have, and that fact sheet helps you to put together a plan and discuss with your family members and actually practice that plan within the household. Assembling an emergency kit. And on this fact sheet, it lists different ways or things that should be included in your kit to last for at least 3 days. Hurricane preparedness for individuals with disabilities. This fact sheet details the steps that one should proactively prepare for an emergency. The NTAE Program Accelerator provided our team with unique methods, a team of catalysts and key informants. By everyone working together, we were better resourced and implemented an effective virtual conference.
So, co-creating with our communities. So as previously stated, natural disasters and emergency are not cookie cutter events. Preparedness is not identical for everyone. So regardless of what state you live in, the citizens need to be equipped with the knowledge and skills and resources to prepare for disasters. So within the communities, of course, we know that encompasses K through 12 students, farmers, first and second responders, such as the extension professionals that we talked about. And as you know, or you will know today, preparedness saves lives. We recognize that by reaching both community audiences and our extension peers with this critical information, that the information that we provide is so very necessary. All programming conducted by the Southern University Agricultural Research and Extension Center is community focused. So simply stated, we aim to provide support to our constituents, but we need their input to improve programs. This is imperative because we aim to gain community buy-in. We want them to collaborate with us to provide innovative ideas that we may not think of, and also to obtain impacts. So here we have parishes. What works in one parish or community may not work for others. We provide services, as previously stated, in rural and urban communities to all ages and stages. The needs of the community differ throughout. Therefore, programming needs to align with the differences presented in each community. When co-creating, we utilize needs assessments, short surveys, idea sharing, and town halls. This allows constituents to share their challenges, have ask questions, and state their concerns that they're facing as it relates to emergency preparedness in a safe space with trusted individuals. Some questions that we posed were, what works, what didn't work, what could be done better, what topics would you like to learn about? Do you prefer in-person or virtual meetings? What days and times will work for you so that we can have a large attendance? What did you like least? What did you like most? And we love to use this takeaway method that was introduced to us by Extension Foundation, where we ask participants, what did you like? What did you wish happened? And what do you wonder? Or maybe some future things that could possibly take place. So what are our lessons learned? Like any new project or program, we encountered numerous roadblocks throughout this journey, some being pivoting from in-person to virtual due to the pandemic, us working remotely while trying to plan virtual events, and technology challenges. Everybody at some point faced some type of internet connectivity issue. So here are some of the most important things that we felt that we learned during this process is that your team matters. The Extension Foundation provided us with the opportunity to do a health survey. This survey helped us to identify the strengths and weaknesses amongst our team. And that way we were able to divide tasks. So for example, one person loves to do like these graphics, but another person doesn't like to speak. So that could be the thing that they do. Okay, let's get you to do the PowerPoints or the prezzies or whatever it may be. The scale of your project should align with your capacity. We had to adjust our expectations. So when we shifted from in-person to a virtual conference, we hoped to offer CEUs, but that was way too complex to do virtually, of course. So we decided to change the format and we decided to successfully implement what we could. And that was a virtual conference and with the help of other extension agencies and other organizations as well. You have to eat an elephant one bite at a time. So planning our conference, of course, was initially overwhelming, but what helped us was to break it down into smaller steps. And that way we were able to meet our goals. And we were able to reach audiences that we did not expect to reach. Engaging virtual audiences is not impossible, but it does require intentional design and planning. We incorporated several strategies to increase audience engagement. So we wanted to cater to the different types of learners. So, we have auditory learners, visual learners, verbal learners, and things like that. So we used polls, Mentimeter, and breakout rooms, which resulted in high engagement. Engagement strategies should be flexible and reflect the audience's needs. So on our final day of our conference, that was catered to our farmers because we know that we would have limited internet connectivity. We knew that majority of them would probably dial in instead. So we focused on having a panel discussion where they did more talking. We didn't do, like I previously stated, we didn't use slides, we didn't use polls or those interactive tools to engage our farmers. And so lastly, we learned that you must believe in yourself and press forward, even if there are obstacles. Use the resources you have. And as you can see, we persevered. So what does the future look like for our program? So we have a 6-week webinar series in lieu of our conference, and the flyer is forthcoming, and you'll hear a little bit more about that webinar series a little bit further into our presentation. We are also including a youth component through our new signature program, summer program called Jackcation, where we will be teaching emergency preparedness lessons to youth. We're going to utilize our youth emergency preparedness guide, as you can see it on the screen. And our hope is that our youth will not only use this information, but share it with their families. An example that we like to reference is how students know how to stop, drop, and roll for fire safety. And we want the same exact effect as it relates to emergency preparedness and preparedness to go. So as you see the emergency preparedness guide for youth, that's something that we have placed inside of our preparedness to go. So in our preparedness to go, we have these folders. You probably can't see it because of my background. I'm going to try to turn it off really quickly so you can, so that you can see what we have inside of it. If not, there is a photograph on the slide showing us putting our packets together. We had a packing party to put our preparedness to go together. As you can see, that's one of the guides being placed in there. All of the fact sheets that we produce. We have magnets. We have which is one of the most important things in the packet is this flash drive, so that you can save your information. We have a mobile unit, so if you lose power, you can utilize our mobile unit to go and get on the internet. And this, if you needed to pull up some type of document, you would have it saved on to your flash drive. And not only is this folder to hold all of our fact sheets, but we want this to be used for your pertinent information, such as your social security cards, your birth certificates. And so that way, this will be your go-to item to grab and go in case of an emergency or a disaster. So Dr. Marlon Ford will discuss the call for action and involvement.
All right, call for action time. Let the ladies go first. So I'm going to round us off here. I'm a Southern gentleman. That's what we do. But our call for action is going to involve our community as a whole. We're going to use a lot of community emergency teams. Establishing these teams with things that we found are going to be vital to moving forward with emergency preparedness. Using church groups, nonprofits, for-profits. Also using the private sector to help us, and state and local governments. We found now that we can break a lot of barriers, because now emergency preparedness is not just one thing in our cooperative extension program. You can utilize all the programs. It's a social, economical, and even a climate type thing that we're using. What we're doing is breaking barriers even in our own cooperative extension. We're using youth. We're doing youth, because now with the emergence of urban agriculture is really making a boom, and a lot of our young farmers are urban agriculturalists. This is a way that we're seeing how these community gardens, how these schools are impacting when it comes to growing in these food deserts. A big thing with the community gardens is that they provide a purpose as a community refuge after disasters. These were places that a lot of people were going, and they had meaningful and restore, just great projects, greening projects, which help our green infrastructure, which puts our carbon level down. These places encourage social interaction and a bonding. Before the pandemic, the big move was outdoor classrooms. Our kids were just all in their video games. No one knew what nature would bring. The pandemic, even though it was tragic, it was a learning experience for everyone. That when people were too scared to get access, to go out, or you couldn't get access to fresh fruits and vegetables, you can grow your own. And part of our initiative too here at the Southern University Research, Agriculture, and Extension Center is teaching and disseminating that information out to people who want to learn how to grow their own gardens and grow their own food supply. By having that food supply, now we dealing with the national disaster. Now you have alternative way of having fresh fruits and vegetables for your family or even for that community, or just say even for that side of town, that block. You know, you can have neighbors growing, one neighbor growing vegetables, green vegetables, another neighbor can be growing fruits, another neighbor can be doing anything. See, these are the things that encompass making a successful community grow. These meeting places, and even not just having that just for the community. Now, after the disasters, we've seen the influx of food trucks. A lot of schools and communities are looking for shelves to, you know, they have shelves at their private schools, their charter schools, and there's not that many food markets, you know, no farmers markets. You know, you have to travel real far. What makes a place a food desert is that the access to these fresh fruit are too far for them to even get to. A lot of people don't have public transportation is not really sometimes available to everyone. So by having these gardens as alternative ways of having these social gatherings, these, you know, this way of really teaching without teaching. In other words, it's a place to train the trainer. And these have been our platforms after disasters and even before disasters. So, you know, to do hands-on and doing these things. And how can this be adaptable? I know a lot of people ask, how can this be adaptable to my region? We said it wasn't a cookie cutter, but it's not. But you do have to have some main concepts: the planning, the roles and responsibilities, the concepts and operations, and the management. You know, you got to put in what actions and what management actions are going to take place. We do have a template that we're trying to develop that can be used at different extension departments across the nation. By involving these, you know, then also we encourage to add on, you know, because, you know, here in Louisiana we have parishes, not counties. You know, you go to Mississippi, these are, you know, you have this county, Texas county. These things can be adapted to your area. So that's what we mean. It's not a cookie cutter. You can take you know, you don't reinvent the wheel, you just make the wheel better or more accessible to where your region is. And that's a way that you can put your own unique, you know, your own unique flavor. You know, we use flavor here because we always cooking here in Louisiana. Your own unique flavor and your spices to your program by using by using our bases and just adding in what will work in that marshland or in that's, you know, in this mountain region or in those flat plains. You know, so that's one of the important things that we've encountered. And also, and I mentioned it before, we've broken the silos. A lot of, you know, by traveling this region and, you know, going to different states, a lot of cooperative extensions problems they've been working in silos. They're getting programming, but they're not connected. By doing this, we have learned that we're connecting with our youth department, connecting with our nutrition department, our family consumer sciences, and even with our main campus, because we're connected with our main campus with the students, because now we're developing research for the students to do research that can better communities, even at their own hometown. So, you know, and the disasters with their own hometown. So this is a effort that we're doing that we're very proud of, and we've been moving forward. This is a great thing to do. So we're very happy with what we're doing. Of course, we're growing. We're going to move forward. And I thank you for your time. I'll let Crystal go ahead and round us out so we can get some questions in if you have some questions.
Thank you, Dr. Ford. I do want to hone in on something before we go back to our call to action and let you guys know what's next and how you can get involved. Dr. Ford mentioned our integrative team, our team of how we are trying to change the face of extension teams, even within the same department. I know oftentimes you tend to work, if you work in nutrition, you only tend to work with other people who work in nutrition. You work in FCS, you might tend to only work in those silos with other people at FCS. But expanding your team to touch on so many different areas. So Dr. Ford has a little extension, but he's really a research person. I guarantee you, if he turned off his background, he's probably in a forum somewhere right now. But it allows us, you're at your desk, Dr. Ford? That's shocking. Having that team allows us to see the interconnectedness of the work that we're doing, and it eliminates those silos, but it also helps us better manage and utilize our resources. So as Dr. Ford mentioned, in his community team and also in the roles and responsibilities, I would have never thought in April 2019 when we started this, the role community gardening could play in emergency preparedness. When we think about communities, how their access to stores may be cut off, how transportation may be down, how they may be stuck where they are due to, road hazards or anything like that, simply having a garden in the backyard or having a community garden allows these individuals in the community to have access to food. We need food to survive. And of course, we plan ahead. We know our kids need to have 3 to 5 days of food and water. But what about that fresh food? I know at some point we didn't eat all the hurricane snacks. Probably ate the hurricane snacks before the hurricane came, but that's neither here nor there. Having that garden really expands your access to resources, not just for you, but you can do that for your community. I would have never saw that connectedness had we not had such an integrative team to bring different components. And even with Kiana and her youth initiatives and Angela as our health and nutrition person, it just feels like it's all woven together. And I'm so excited that we have that model of a team that's been working together for years really well, but also we bring so many different things to the table and it adds so much capacity and just moving forward with our program, and hopefully we serve as a model for others. So rounding it out, we say, what is next and how can you get involved? So as Kiana mentioned, we are moving away from the 3-day conference design. We realized we had a lot of participation around 9 o'clock that morning. And then when we let out for lunch and we came back, we lost about half our crowd, right? And they said, oh, this is normal. It's normal. It's going to dwindle throughout the day. You'll see a little bit less engagement. I don't know if it's Zoom fatigue or it's just devoting 3 consecutive full work days to a virtual conference. But that wasn't the goal of our thing. When we were thinking about our impacts, we got numbers. We got great numbers from the conference. But we didn't have that intended impact of making sure to keep people engaged and seeing that change in behavior, that change in knowledge. So when we came back to the planning board or the planning meeting this time, we said, what would help us get that impact we wanted? So instead, we're going to offer a 6-week conference series, and they will last an hour. So just like today, it'll start, well, this one started at 1 p.m. our time. It'll start at 11 a.m. Central Standard Time. And we're going to focus on the topics that we got a lot of great feedback from with our feedback from our previous conference and those, surveys and information, everybody giving us feedback and what worked, kind of like what they could not use or what were their favorites. And one of the big things, we're going to focus our kickoff session, which is Wednesday, May 4th at 11 a.m. We partnered with Eden again, which is the Extension Disaster Education Network, Carolyn McKillop and Abby Lil Pop. And they're going to discuss Extension's role in preparedness, response, and recovery, as well as resources and tools available for Extension professionals. I think that's huge. I hope you guys can join us and can spread the word. And we will be inputting more information and the entire conference series into the registry. Molly, I'm going to hand it over to you to show people how to access the registry. And we're going to definitely upload our fact sheets and our youth activity guide, which will be a great way for you guys to use that information. Please use the information, print it, share it within your agents, however you would like to. We definitely welcome you guys using that as well. So join us for this and find out more information about the conference by looking at the registry, which we will upload it to the registry as soon as we finalize our flyer. All right, Molly, I gave you 9 minutes. You asked for 5. We're giving you back 9.
Excellent. Thank you so much. And I put the link directly into the chat for you to get to the National Registry of Cooperative Extension Programs and Assets that Crystal mentioned. And if you click on that link, you're going to come to a little explanation page. And what you can do is, if you have a program, go ahead and register that program. And after you register, you can also update your program so you can keep these things current. But in this case, we're just going to view it. And each time you'll get you agree to the terms of use. And then we'll come in here. Now, this is a relatively new resource to find other programs and assets that, you know, as Marlon mentioned, don't reinvent the wheel, improve it, right? So you can find out what is happening in other parts of the cooperative extension system. And you can search on any search term. There's also a ton of fields you can filter it on. You know, if you're looking for you know, specific program areas, specific universities or institutions, the kinds of assets that are out there. So we talked about, I heard that fact sheets are going to be up here, and you know, other types of things like websites and you know, slide decks, all kinds of things are out here that are being shared. So I'm just going to share, because we are showcasing Southern University, I'm going to hopefully spell it right. And I just searched on that, and I came up with a vaccine education initiative, and you can see all kinds of wonderful assets in here. And we know that it's from Southern University. There's the website and so forth. So who are the target audiences, some description, and so forth. And here are some assets that are shareable as well. What's wonderful about this is that it is updatable, and it's being added to, you know, on a daily basis as well. So, and it sounds like this program is going to be updating their assets there. So, which gives me a moment. Remember that 5 minutes I asked for? That was to ask for your feedback. I really only need 1 minute of your time for this. This is a 1 minute feedback form. Just 4 quick questions, really shouldn't take you more than a minute. And while you are clicking on that and answering those questions, we'll open it up for a larger, you know, any questions to the Southern Agriculture team.
I have a question. So you mentioned that farmers were the focus of your third day of the conference. So who is your primary focused audience for the other days?
Day 1 was community focused, so it was a lot of preparedness, resources, tips, tools. Day 2 was extension professionals. And then day 3 were farmers.
Okay, great.
I had to do farmers. I had never heard of the term peri-urban until I started talking to Dr. Ford. But we have a program we are piloting right now, pastures and disasters. And so we reached out to Texas A&M AgriLife Extension agents, and they really did a great roundtable discussion. I don't know if Kiana mentioned it. When we designed day 3 of the conference for the farmers, we went really low tech. So it was kind of like mics on, you could join from a phone. It didn't take all day. And it was a roundtable discussion on livestock preparedness and different initiatives like that. So we can really get that information for pastures and disasters.
The other question I had was, I know that Louisiana has a huge presence in the schools with clubs and school enrichment. Are y'all planning to do any kind of school enrichment either with your preparedness curriculum or activities with youth besides your camp?
Yeah, so we actually already do a lot of youth programs, not really in the school. I know Kiana works with several youth groups, so I'm gonna let her speak more about that as well, that she does preparedness initiatives with. But our youth age in our schools, our extension department is almost set up to where it's almost like FNAP and SNAP going into schools.
Okay,
And our agents don't really go into K through 12 schools like that. And you know, FNAP and SNAP have so many regulations with
right,
what they can do.
yeah,
So Kiana, if you want to talk about your youth groups, that'll be.
So with my appointment under youth development, I'm working on specific grants. So that are centered around like 4-H. So I do like Health Rocks, Healthy Habits, and Youth Future. So those are all 4-H. When I with my FCS appointment, which the emergency preparedness actually falls under, I kind of more so do that with the adult population versus the youth. So that's how the JADcation is coming into play with tying in my FCS and incorporating the emergency preparedness, if that makes
okay,
sense. Okay.
yeah, thank you.
But if I can chime in, on my extension department, I'm in A&R, Ag and Natural Resources. And I'm working with schools, small schools, elementary all the way up to high school. So that's where we come in doing the gardens and the aquaponics, hydroponics, and things of that nature, which is a big thing when we were talking about community gardens. Those are some of your urban community gardens as well, are these, aquaponic and hydroponic, little warehouses they might have, so that's another thing that we're working on with the schools as well. And it's a program that I developed called SCALE, and that's Sustainable Community Agriculture Learning Environments. And that's what I'm doing with the school, with elementary schools, middle schools, and high schools, and we're developing garden clubs and things of that nature.
You guys are hitting so many different facets with having the gardens at the schools with nutrition and, sustainability and emergency preparedness. That's a phenomenal approach. I really like that you're doing that.
Thanks, Cheryl. Where are you from, Cheryl? I didn't get a chance to check that.
Oklahoma, but I was in Texas 22 years, so I'm familiar with both states.
Okay.
Yeah. Very good.
Yeah, so I'm going to jump in here just to give you a few more next steps, right? So we have recording will be shared to all registrants, but also will be posted in Connect Extension. And I put the link into the chat for that, as well as you can find the e-field book that this team created in Connect Extension. And I bet you that May 4th event will also be put into Connect Extension as a learn event as well. We also have, this was the first time we did a program center stage. That will happen every month for the rest of 2022 on the 4th Monday at 2 p.m. Eastern time. We also have two other types of monthly skills sessions, extension skills on the second Thursdays and dynamic discussions on the fourth Thursdays. And you can find information of all of those and all Impact Collaborative events at the second link, the registration and information link that I shared in the chat. And on top of it all, this is you heard about the new technologies in agriculture extension, NTAE, as being one of the fellowships that this team was part of. We have the spotlight on the new technologies in agriculture extension next month, April 25th, for our program center stage. And you'll learn about the program, learn from fellows and team catalysts, everyone who's involved in new technologies in agriculture extension and how to apply for year 4 funding, which is coming up this spring. So with that, I hope you'll take part in our next month's program center stage focused on the NTAE program. And I want to give a big old thank you Thank you to the Southern Agriculture team for being the first in this series and doing such a great job sharing all about your program. And I want to thank everyone who is participating and watching this recording for your participation as well. And with that, I'm going to close us down. Thank you very much.
Thank you for your support over the years, Molly and Tyra.
It is a wonderful pleasure. Thank you.